another sidewalk I did about 25 years ago. They still have not had a new driveway put in. They were supposed to have a new driveway put in, so I just put coal patch back there in between, but they still haven't done a new driveway. So this sidewalk is a complete random pattern. 3 sizes: squares, Twinkies, and small rectangles is what I always call them. A retaining wall block step that also settled about a 1/2 inch right there, and that one's about 1/8 of an inch. You can't prevent that from settling over 25 years. But if you notice, the sidewalk did not settle at all. Compaction, compaction, compaction. Edge restraint lifted up, but you can't prevent that with the frost heaves. But they're okay with that. So today I am going to put some diluted, heavily diluted liquid pool chlorine to kill any algae spores that are on there. I try not to use any Roundup or anything like that too much. And then I'm gonna let that dry on the pavers. Then tomorrow I'm gonna come and pressure wash and try to get rid of any of the sand and dirt and the little helicopters from the maple trees out of there. Try to expose inch and a half joint in the pavers. And then once it's all dry and the top step is repaired, I'm gonna put some polymeric sand in. We didn't have polymeric sand 25 years ago. So let's get this one blown off and then sprayed. So this sidewalk's not too bad, except it doesn't have polymeric sand. It has a little bit of growth in there. We sprayed this with my diluted pool chlorine mixture yesterday. It was there's a bluestone cap step, so that one's got to be reset. That one's not too bad. That one's got to be reset. It dropped about a 1/2 inch. So this one's really not too bad. I cleaned this one a few years ago, but we ended up putting regular sand in. That's what the homeowner wanted. But now we're gonna put some polymeric sand in it. No repairs on this one either. I built this one in 2001, I do believe, so it's 22 years old roughly. No settling at all. It's really held up really nice. This is a random, complete random pattern. It was Paver by Ideal Yankee cobble, 3 sizes. So this one is going to be washed and all the sand extracted at least 1 inch down. I'll try to get as much as I can out, obviously. And then once it dries, I will put polymeric sand in and use my vibratory roller to agitate the polymeric sand in to get it all the way down in there and get it compacted in there. And I will also raise those bluestone steps so that way there's no tripping hazard up there. So let's go over some of the equipment I have. Okay, I got a John Deere 3500 PSI 3.7 gallon pressure washer. I have a turbo nozzle on there is the main one that I use, the hose, and I have a surface cleaner, an Erie Tools surface cleaner. It's like a 20-inch, and then obviously my garden hose. So what I do is I get all the heavy stuff with the turbo nozzle. It's a rotating tip on there. Here's one right here I can show you. There's a rotating nozzle in there. So it's a 0 degree like this, but instead of just being a pin, it actually spins like this. So it spins and, or I don't know what direction, but it spins and spins and spins. So you actually get a cone, and it does a great job. Versus these, you'll get lines. You get a real bad line. This will actually damage your material. This one will damage material, but and then you're only working with a fan. But these are the best things in the world. And then, but you still get some inconsistency. So you might miss some spots with that. So after I use the turbo nozzle, I come back with my tool cleaner. Excuse me. I come back with my surface cleaner. And the surface cleaner is basically two pressure washers. It has a nozzle here and a nozzle here. And you could replace them and get different angles, different fans. But these are basically traditional, just a fan. It's just a fan that shoots down. And then that pushes it around and it spins really, really fast. And that gets rid of all your pressure washing lines. So, excuse me, allergies. So what's nice about this one, if I hook it up to vacuum, it'll suck up some of the water here. So if I'm doing inside, it'll suck up some of the water that's splashing up. And it'll go into like a heavy duty vacuum system. But that's more like a carpet cleaning vacuum system. But there's the vacuum nozzle. So let's get the pressure washer set up. I'll start washing at the stoop. Oh, and I did say I sprayed this with pool chlorine diluted, and that's just to kill any algae spores. And you can actually see some of the grasses in here are already wilting. That's but it's mainly to kill the algae spores. The pressure washer will get rid of 90% of these weeds and the roots. So let's get set up and let's get it washed. Okay, got everything washed and picked up. All my equipment's ready to be loaded. So you can see I was able to extract a good amount, 3/4 of the sand that was in there. All the grass. Try to get all the roots out. It's still wet, so obviously it's not going to look light and bright right now, but it will. So that's all washed. Once it dries, I'll come back and I'll put some polymeric sand in it. I did notice one area I got to repair. It's over here. One little paver. And that's probably because the gutters are clogged. But you can see those pavers there. Right there. Are not even. This one is where it's supposed to be. This one has settled and this one has settled. And that's right where the gutters, when they're clogged, that's right where the gutters hit. So the gutters are clogged, so that causes that. But I'll repair that before I put polymeric sand in. The polymeric sand acts as a glue, so it holds all the pavers together, and it binds them, and it holds them, helps them from shifting around. So I got to repair that front step. I got to repair that one other paver. Sweep some polymeric sand in there. Hit it with my rubber vibratory plate or my vibratory roller compactor that's specifically made for polymeric sand. You can't use it on dirt or anything. You can only use it on polymeric sand. So when you have somebody pressure wash your sidewalk, if they don't put the sand, joint compound, polymeric sand back in your pavers, you are just amplifying the problem with the weeds and the movement of the pavers. So that's why you see how long it takes to pressure wash a sidewalk the right way. You extract all the polymeric sand that you can. Anything failed, any of the failed polymeric sand or the regular sand, and then you have to reapply it. So the best way to wash pavers, if you have good polymeric sand in there, is just with a bristle broom. Get it wet, put some simple green or they make paver cleaners that you can use that you don't use a pressure washer for, so you don't extract and ruin the polymeric sand. But once you hit it with a pressure washer, you're extracting the joint sand in between. So that's why when you have it done by someone who installs and maintains pavers, it's a lot more expensive because it's a lot more labor intensive. You see, I went through every single joint on this sidewalk extracting it. I'm not just hitting it with the surface cleaner and leaving it in 20 minutes or 10 minutes. I'm actually taking my time getting it ready to do the repair work and to refill it. Very important. So this job's done. Let's load up the tools. We'll come back on a day or two when this is really dry and finish the sidewalk. Let's load up the tools. So we're back at this one. I washed it the other day, 2 or 3 days ago. It's dry now. I'm gonna install the polymeric sand and get that done today. I am not gonna reset those 2 stones today. I don't have any base material to do that with today, but I am going to do the polymeric sand today. So let's get the tools out, get the compactor out, clean this off, and get this step done. Before I get started, I want to show you something. See the overhang outside this door, on the first door, the white door there? Okay. This is how powerful Mother Nature is. Look at the pavers right underneath the overhang. Very little wear. You don't see the aggregate in the pavers. So that was more of what it looked like originally, 20 plus years ago. Obviously it's faded some from the UV, but on the left, that has no protection from the overhang, and you can see all the aggregate. It actually looks not bad. I kind of like that, the speckled look, but it wasn't like that at the beginning. It was just a solid shade of gray. That is how powerful just even rain is. Rain and the UV from the sun. But that's all because of that overhang protected that little section there. So let's clean this off and get the polymeric sand spread on there. Let me show you the polymeric sand that I use. It's the Techniseal HP Next Gel. It comes in gray, comes in tan. Follow the instructions on it. I've never had a failure with it. Those are some partial bags from that I'm going to be using up on this job also. And then it comes in tan. That's a tan one I'm not going to be using, obviously. But this is a brand I've been using for the last probably 6 or 7 years, and I have had no callbacks because of the sand, because of the failure of the sand. You can overwater it. If you do overwater polymeric sand, you can actually wash away the polymer. So that's one problem a lot of people have, or they don't water it enough. So over the years, I stick to one brand, and I've kind of learned what works for me, and that's what I'll always do. So find a brand or a product that works for you, and a routine on how to install it and activate it. And if it works for you, great. I definitely don't switch back and forth between products. I'm kind of a faithful type of guy where if it works, don't change something that's already working. Let's get this one cleaned up and sanded. So the homeowner has their little accordion garden hose. I'm just going to use that because I don't want to have to unwind my whole thing for a little sidewalk. See how it goes. So this sidewalk especially is a lot steeper of an incline this way, and the pavers are elevated because their cold patch wore out on the bottom. So if I start at the top, I'm going to have a river of water going through those pavers, and it's going to wash out all the uncured polymeric sand. Still might have a little, but it shouldn't be too bad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to gel this, get this activated, give it at least 30 seconds before, and I'm going to do it little by little, and then I'm going to work my way up. So let's see how it goes. So you can see it's already starting to wash off there. So that's why you gotta go real slow. Take your time. Let it absorb. Let's let that set up for a little bit. I don't know if you can see because I have it at a wide angle. You can actually see the water running down. So let me show you. I did all this, and let me take you off wide. I leave you on wide angle. And you see there's no water running down the driveway. There's no puddling. But if you look in the things, all the grout lines or the polymeric sand lines, they're holding water. That means it gelled up and the water is slowly seeping through. So that's what you want over the whole, that's how I do it, over the whole paver area. So you can see there's a little bit of washout here, right there, but that's good there, that's good, that's good. So you can see there's just enough where it's going to be, give it time, and it's going to saturate all the way through down to the base. And that's what you want. You don't want a river. And all that water running this way, I still don't have any puddle, but it's still saturated, completely saturated. You do all this work, you don't want to rush it at the end because you'll be coming back and fixing it. And it just doesn't look, it just doesn't look good for a business to do half-assed with the polymeric sand at the very end. I think you take your time doing that, your work will last that much longer. This one never had polymeric sand. When we built these 20 plus years ago, we just used mason sand. Back then they were experimenting with mortar, Portland cement. But in New England that doesn't work because it cracks, because we have a frost heave. Down south it might work, but up north Portland cement doesn't really work. So the polymer allows it the flexibility for the frost. And you can still see the difference over there between where it's protected by the overhang and not. And I don't know if you saw that, but buddy rabbit right there just came running across the yard because the neighbor's weed whacking and scared her away. Before I wrap up this video, yes, the paver plastic edging has lifted. It is not in the homeowner's budget to rip it all out and install new. So they said they're okay with that, with it being up like that. That's from the frost heave. You could see, and that's obviously where they hit it with a snow blower or a shovel. But you could see it lifts up. Let me zoom in here for you. That's what it looks like. It's supposed to be below the paver height, obviously. But that's not in their budget to take it all out and install new. So something's better than nothing. So, and I did repair that corner, that paver that was tipped. I did repair that. I just didn't video it. Now my favorite part of the job. Let's pick up some tools. I will come back and reset that top landing there. I just don't have the base material today, and I want to get as many polymeric sand jobs done as possible while the weather's cooperating for it, because it cannot rain for 12 hours or heavy rain at least 24 hours. So the pavers are done. Now they just got to mulch their flower beds, weed them and mulch them, and this will look brand new. All right, let me show you something. That's what happens when you have a termite inspector or a bug guy come, and I don't know what he was thinking, but he drilled through the stone instead of going in between the stones when they go around drilling holes around the house or putting the insecticide around the whole house. He actually drilled right through the stone. You can see the hole and the big shatter because he probably used a hammer drill. So in time, this stone is going to fail now because instead of going between the stones or behind the stone, he went right through the stone. That's an amateur move right there. So this landing is reset. It was just 2 bluestones. I want to make sure I have plenty of pitch coming this way, so I have it raised up just like a 1/4 inch on the two far corners. That's going to allow more water to filter this way. Gets rid of all the tripping hazards. It's good to go. So now this job, my sweatshirt is in the middle of the sidewalk. But now this job is complete. Washed, new polymeric sand. Top landing reset. There were 2 loose stones. I think it was that little one and that one. So those are glued back down. Another one in the books.